Hello, and welcome to this presentation on the topic of Confederate monuments put up around the country in relation to the events of the Civil War. Seen in this presentation is a lost cause memorial by the name of the monument to Confederate women, also known as the Mother of the South. Now, some background information, preliminary information, is that this monument is actually located in front of the Arkansas state capitol. And according to the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, this is actually the second monument dedicated towards Confederate women. The first one was built in South Carolina prior to this one. As seen within these pictures, we see four figures, which consist of a mother with her son and daughter, and we see them bidding goodbye to their enlisted husband slash father as he leaves to fight on the Confederate side of the Civil War. This monument was accepted by Governor J.M. Futrell on behalf of the state of Arkansas and was said to be paid by the Confederate Veteran Association and the state of Arkansas. Now, in order to relate this back to the whole idea of the lost cause and in significant contribution towards this ideology, according to the United States Department of the Interior National Park Service, in quotes from the Arkansas Gazette, he stated, "It will serve to remind future generations of the patient bravery and silent sufferings of those who stayed home through 4 long years of civil strife and gave courage and inspiration to the men who wore the gray, the Arkansas women of the Confederacy." There is a strong display of emotions within this monument, as a family is essentially being torn apart for the sake of contribution towards the Civil War. We see desperation within the mother and the children as they have to say their goodbyes to their father and husband that they're not necessarily sure would actually get the chance to come back home. The impact on American society could be described as mentally tolling and almost as an act of grievance, while also maintaining patriotic observances and perspectives, because we are recognizing sacrifice in terms of someone fighting for their beliefs in terms of the nation. And there's also a thematic presence of recognizing the bravery of women who were left alone, and left to occupy their homes and their children by themselves as their husbands go away to fight in a war. Like I said, that they're not necessarily guaranteed to come back. Um, the woman of the Confederacy gave a lot to the veterans of the Civil War, and this monument is kind of just a act of respect and recognition for what they contributed to. Um, there is a thematic aura of perseverance and holding on to hope, as a monument is shown from its curtain. It was its own battle to be in isolation due to the separation of family in a time of war. And according to Zachary Lynn Elledge, in an improved thesis at Arkansas State University on the monument itself specifically, he writes, "The monument represents a romanticized recollection of the Confederate veterans who visualized it through the selective prism of their own memory of the woman of the Confederacy." So we see that overall, it's more not leaning towards the reason for fighting on the Confederate side, but just the overall act of having to deal with the presence of a war and the presence of risk and the presence of separation that the American families had to bear, and especially on the woman and the mother of these families that they had to what they had to go through in order to keep up and kind of maintain this level of understanding of their position, what their in their war has to be, to kind of have that as great of a contribution as they could. But overall, this monument is a staple on something that isn't necessarily glamorous. It's something that's it's more of a melancholic monument where it really dives into the harsh reality of how the war impacted society and American families overall.